In the deep dark of the night, world spins in quiet flight. Stars above softly glow, secrets of the universe they bestow. Cosmic catacombs, where the spirits roam. Hearts begin to beat, in the void we meet. Ooh, the cosmic embrace, in the endless space. Our shadows dance, in a timeless trance. Whispers from afar, echoes of a star. In the velvet skies, love will never die. Galaxies entwine, where our souls align. Love's eternal flame, in this cosmic game. Ooh, the cosmic embrace, in this endless space. Our shadows dance, in a timeless trance. Whispers from afar, echoes of a star. In the velvet skies, love will never die. Ooh, the cosmic embrace, in this endless space. Our shadows dance, in a timeless trance. City humming concrete dreams. Neon drowns the starlight's beams. Eyes look down the sky unseen. The secret whispered never screamed. But past the haze, the velvet deep, a galaxy of secrets keeps. Above the lights, the heavens glow, a cosmic dance we barely know.
Hey, welcome to the Sky Tour. I think it's pretty cool. I've got to show you a couple of things here. If you look at our telescope here, you'll see there's a car out there. Mary told you about the astronomer next door. Yeah, he's actually on the mountain tonight, so he's actually up there. And I've got to turn off my automatic targeting here. So let me just do that real quick. And then I'll turn off. Oh wait, I got. Oh, no, that's not good. Just a sec. Okay, there we go. All right, and turn off the targeting. There we are. All right, so now you can see his telescope aiming up in the air, and I'm going to turn off this auto targeting thing. I don't want it to zip the camera around. It makes me keep thinking there's something wrong. Anyway, nice to see you guys. Welcome. This is a lot of fun already that's going to be had here. And hey, Gary's here, Pop Culture Minefield. That guy is one heck of an artist. You guys need to check his stuff out. Gary, put up a website so they can just see it. If you can pop that in there, that'd be pretty cool. I'd love everybody to see what you do. Bob, C&D boy, what's going up? Nice to see you. We got Kyle here, Kathy Messick, Sam S. Sally, of course, Star Panda, how you doing? And we are gonna start off. Well, this, by the way, just so you know, this is a Sirius again. I always drop it over onto Sirius so we can do a couple things, and that is so we can just get our focus for the night. And so what I'm gonna do is take us to Sirius in our planetarium view here, and then go to our little beehive, which I like to do as well. So I'm going to move the telescope down to that, and you'll see the telescope here just move in a second. There it is. It's already there. Yeah, there we go. And what I'll do now is I'm going to focus for the night. It's just a little out of focus right now. And I'm going to, that actually looks pretty good, but I'm going to take it back just a notch, and I'm going to get a critical focus. It can do better than my eyes can do. Alright, so we're gonna go from here, and right now we have 14 stars. I'm going to do start a focus run in the negative direction. So hopefully everybody's doing well. Autopilot, nice to see you. Let's see, Gary, if you put the... Yeah, let's see if there's a link. No, you know what? Use the word DOT if you're going to put the, the dots in. For some reason, it's not allowing you to put the link in. So just say, like, whatever, DOT, whatever, DOT, then the slash or whatever. That'll come through. But I'd like people to see your stuff. Of course, Gary is on a famous podcast with the famous Silverback. I'll let you tell them what that is, Gary, so that they can hunt that down too. But get your link on there first. All right. We should get a mark right here for our average curve here. There it is. Look at that. All right, so now that we have our curve calculated, we're going to get our focus critically done here, and then it'll be all off and running. Thanks for joining me, guys. This will be fun tonight. We're going to look at some things that are different from what we did last time. But either way, it's still going to be fun, because I insist it's fun. Okay, so let's get rid of this. And there it is. That is our cluster. I'll just take a quick 10-second photo and then zoom in, confirm that we are, in fact, looking good. And let's do this. Let's see what we get. Yeah, the littlest dots show up good. Okay, now it's not being guided, so that's why they're a little oblong. Okay, nice. All right, so we will now start having some fun. Daisy and Zoe, hi guys, how are you? And Gary, I still didn't see your link. Come on, I'm not letting you off the hook. You gotta show people what you do. If you're coming here, you gotta show people what to do. Fantasy, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Good evening to you. All right, so let's come back here now, and let's do a little journey in Canis Major here. And here's Lepus. I mean, Lepus is cool. We have M79, which I think we'll try to go to. M79 is cool. This is a little globular cluster. You watch the telescope is heading right for it. And obviously, this has to be there. And there's the globular cluster. Okay. And so let's bring it up into the field so we can see it. There we go. Alright, and then move it over so we can actually get a better look at it. Here we go. Alright, Pop Culture Minefield Gary says, yeah, you know what? Gary, I think the problem is I haven't made you a mod, and then you can't put up links. I'm so sorry. You know what? But try spelling out, instead of, say Gary.com or whatever, say Gary.com, and people will know. Put a space between that and just put, capital D, capital O, capital T, so people know it's actually a dot. All right. I want people to see what you do. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to center this up. All right, and this is Measure 79. It's a little globular cluster down in the constellation of Lepus, which is the hare or the rabbit. And we are going to grab an image. We've never photographed this before in this telescope, and we're going to do it now for the very first time. All right, let's grab that's the one I wanted. Excellent. So it's got that star as a primary. These are secondaries. There's stars in here that we can't see. It can. All right, we've got a beautiful focus curve there. It's going to actually keep that right in the middle. And then what we can do now is set up a, let's say, 20-second shot. This will be big enough and bright enough. We're going to drop this back down. Well, it's already down to 100. Okay. We're going to put it up to 150 right here. That makes it a little noisier, but it's not as noisy as 200. So for star clusters like this, this might be perfect. So let's give that a shot. All right, it's underway. We'll do a live stack now. And let's get rid of this over processing right here, and then boom, it goes down to something really pretty. Where'd you post this link? C&D Bob, where'd you post this link? Oh, there it is up top. It's www.youtube.com channel/UCT, and it's got more in it. Okay, good. Yeah, guys, when you get a chance, check that out. Check out his site. All right. Thank you, Gary. Glad you did that. You come here, I want people to know who you are and what you have done. Cause you're awesome, dude. Like, whoa, look out, dude. Yeah, I don't want to talk like that the whole time. All right, let's first of all line up our curves. Notice the red curve is off. So I'm gonna align our curves, got there, and that's gonna make our colors proper. Then I'm gonna move our black level to the left of the curve to give us more detail. And as you can see, that tiny little cluster has now resolved to a snowball of stars. Yeah. Karen Belmont, welcome. Good to see you. All right, let's bring this forward just enough, but not too much, because if we bring it too far, it's gonna wipe out the interior. See, we want to keep it just about there, soft. Now we still have a little noise here, and that's because it's not fully dark. If we go to our planetarium view, you'll see that we still have just a little light here on the western horizon. See it? It's getting dark though. It's getting dark, Captain. Not to worry. All right, Scotty. Thank you. Aye, sir. All right. So now, oh, there's another one down here. C73. That one's literally just a few degrees above the horizon. It's about 12, 15, 14. Oh, no. What I'm saying, 11 or 12. 12 degrees above the horizon, that looks like. Yeah, 12. Yeah, that's going to be too low. But this one that we're looking at right now is only about 26 degrees, 26 and a little bit degrees above the horizon, and it shows okay. Look at that. That's pretty. So globular clusters, as I've mentioned to you before, are halo objects. That means that they actually orbit the galaxy as a whole. They don't orbit the galaxy like stars orbit the galaxy. They're outside the galaxy and plunge through the disk and then come back up through the disk and even beyond the disk. So they can be very far out. In fact, like this particular one, let's take a look 1 second here as I get my heat running in the bunker here. Let's see. This guy here, measure 79. So this one, where am I? This guy, that one. Okay, yeah, measure 79. This one is you won't believe it, but it's actually 42,000. No, 4,000. I can't read that. Come on. Oh yeah, 42,406 light years away. Isn't that crazy? 42,000, and that makes sense when you consider the galaxy is 100,000 light years across. All right, and it's more or less a disk of stars. So this is orbiting the galaxy over the pole, down the pole, up and down, and going through the disk, plunging into the disk, plunging out of the disk. Right, and as it does that, it's actually doing some strange things. It's potentially leaving behind a few stars as it does that, and gathering a few stars as it does it. So it's really a fascinating, process that globular clusters do. Now, recent research shows that these clusters, and I'm going to put that down. Recent research shows that these clusters may be, and this is very difficult to ascertain right now, but the research is still ongoing. It may be that these clusters are actually the leftover cores of galaxies that may have collided with our Milky Way. I don't think I buy that. And I'll tell you why. Because our galaxy has been here for a lengthy period of time. Not as long as the universe has been here. It came along after that. But we would have had to collide with many galaxies. We've got several tens of globular clusters around our galaxy, and that means that would have been that many impacts with other galaxies, and we would have stripped them to look just like this almost every time. I'm not saying that process couldn't create a globular cluster, but I'm going to wait for more research to be done before I throw my hat into that ring, because we might be throwing our hat in that ring, but we'll see. We'll see. Now let's see what we got here. Okay. Oh, Kyle Lindbeats, you guys got the spectrograph? Not yet. I haven't got the spectrograph yet. I mean, we have to get the spectrograph. We're doing a Shellyak Alpi 600 spectrograph. Because that's what we can afford with our grant from all the way down there in the lower right corner. Asterion Foundation, they've been fantastic with us. Asterion works with Lowell Observatory, and Asterion and a couple of other science museums throughout the Southwest have given us that grant to get this spectrograph. So we are doing it. And right now we're gonna let things settle as far as the situation over in France goes. There's some issues, but it should be okay. I'm not worried about it. It's just taking a little longer than we anticipated. Okay, so I did a color correction. Now I'm going to do is just move this just a little to the right, so we can darken it up. Look at that. Now that's beautiful. And this is M79. I'll actually put in the name. It's a GC, not a general contractor. A globular cluster. Okay, so now I will save it. We have 22, and we'll save it exactly as seen. Excellent. So that was our first object name. All right, so after focusing, we take this picture to confirm our focus is good, and it is. Temperature of the building is 28 Celsius right now, so it's pretty warm in there. All right, so let's redock our floating window here and save it one last time and move to the next item. All right, so as we're speaking, that photo I just took is available to you right now for free. Just go to skytourlive.org right there. See it? Skytourlive.org. And you scroll down and go to the part that says I want cool pictures. Read up in there how you get into our directories, because I'm giving you direct connection to our research directories out there. All right, so you're going to see all kinds of logs and things in there you don't need, but in the end you're going to go to what's called the processed directory, and you're going to grab the physical pictures that you see on the screen that we take. Okay, so enjoy. You can take any file you want up there anyway, so but that was the one that's going to be the one that you probably want. Okay, so we are done with this one. Let's do the next thing we're going to do, and that was, I'm going to pull us in here. This is a small planetary nebula, but I looked at it the other day hoping it would be something for us to look at, and unfortunately it wasn't that good. Now maybe it's too late in the season, maybe. I mean, it's literally only 26 degrees above the horizon, so we didn't get as much detail, but I'm going to go to it anyway just to show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so there it is. Right now it kind of just looks like a little star that's sort of out of focus, right? That's it right there. So if we just bring it up again, we'll vote on it. Alright, and what I'll do is I'm gonna take off the processing here and ease into it slowly just to see it. You can see that it's somewhat featureless for us right now, but I think we could probably get something out of it if we can actually take a nice short photo. So I'm gonna just try it. We're gonna take a 10-second photo, and we'll start stacking. Even though we're not guiding right now, we'll just try stacking right away with a 10-second photo and see if we can get anything out of it. I'll try. First of all, get rid of this. Okay, see, that's too bright. It's already saturated, but I'm gonna try anyway. I'm gonna do this, and we're gonna grab our star. Good star. And now we're guiding. So now what I'll do is just take this black level, pull it way back. Okay, first of all, I'm going to clear this again because it's only 10 seconds. And we'll get a 10-second guided shot. Now, if you're wondering what guiding means with our telescope, that would be a good question. The telescope has a camera on it, which you know is the thing at the end. Okay, this black thing is the camera. Okay, and I guess I should probably zoom in on this to show you. Then I'll come here. Okay. All right. So actually, not the black thing. My mistake. That's the counterweight. This is the camera. Okay. And that is a dedicated astronomy camera. It's hooked up to a filter wheel, which is this right here. This filter wheel has different filters that are determined by what's down here, okay, which you can see down there. Okay, we have what's called a radian, UHCS, which we always use. And then we have an SA100, which is a spectral analysis. And then, but not like you think. Dark for just taking pictures of the dark view, so we can calculate what noise is in the camera, and then open with no filters. Now, so that's what's in the filter wheel right here, this black thing. So the camera's here, the filter wheel's here. Then just ahead of this filter wheel, there's another camera. And this camera goes down to a little disc thing which sits in the field, all right? And it sits in front of the filter wheel and the camera. And it's got a tiny little prism in the top, which picks off a tiny bit of the field. Now, the sensor is square, okay? But the field is like this big. So the sensor being square only picks up this square, but the prism is inserted up above in the rest of that field. So it doesn't show up on our images. If I pushed it down into the field more, it would. And so in that tiny little portion of the field, it's finding a guide star to guide on. And that's how this works. Okay, so this is just a little prism that's poking down into the field. Now, I mean, there's more stars in here, and when we brighten it up, you can start to see there's more stars in here. All right, so that's how that works. So that's how we're guiding. It's a guider, and what it does is, as it looks at the star image, it decides whether the telescope has to move to the left, to the right, or whatever in order to capture the object. All right, so we've got 14 shots here. What I'm going to do is move this down, and I'm going to take this down all the way. It's going to stay orange for quite some time, if not the whole time, because 10 seconds on this might even be too much. All right, and then I'm going to take it down all the way again. All right, and I'm going to keep going until we start to see that there's maybe some detail in there. As you can see, we're not seeing any detail yet. We may not. We may have overexposed the entire thing. But that's it. That's the guy that we're looking at. But it's really, really. Oh, now we see it. Look at that. See that? We zoom in, and you can see the white dwarf in the middle, and you can see this hazy outside. There's an extra star. You can see this hazy material on the outside. Okay, it has a blue tint and a red tint, so oxygen and heat and hydrogen, remember? So that's pretty cool. And Tony Lowe is with us, and Good Vibes. Hiya, Good Vibes. What's up? So you can see now it also has, it kind of has this weird shape. It doesn't quite look like a round sphere, does it? It actually has these additional appendages on it, and there's some additions to this, which is probably why they call this the spirograph nebula. It actually has some detail in here that we're not fully capturing. But as it turns out, this doesn't look that bad. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it over here and bring this back up. All right. And so that is this guy right here. Remember the spirograph? This is also called the Raspberry Nebula. But there might be some detail in here to be had, even though it's only about 36 degrees above the horizon. So what I'll do is I am going to see if it knows it. It may or may not. And it does. Okay, so you'll notice that it doesn't have a regular name like Spirograph Nebula, but it has its index catalog name. There's a bunch of different catalogs. So I'm going to put up here, instead of this, I'm going to put Spirograph Nebula. And if anybody wants to grab it, they can. I will save this with annotations. And you can see that there's some strange motion going, not motion, but curves and swirls going on in there. So that's neat, you know? And it's actually got some additional material as well, and I want to show you that. Okay, see this out here? It's got some additional material, and that stuff might have tendrils in it that we're not able to see yet. That's pretty cool though. So let's take this back, but you gotta knock out a lot of the brightness to get to that. Alright, so we're gonna come over here now, and we're gonna start bringing in some more to see how much we can bring in before we lose the center. Yeah, that's pretty cool. We're gonna color correct this again, see if it does anything. Don't expect it will. Yeah, see, it doesn't do much. So we have that beautiful red segment on this. That's cool. Alright, and then I'll move this out. Now, what this is what's called a planetary nebula. Oh wait, I'm starting to see... Are we seeing a little sloop? There's a little whoop-de-whoop there. See that? A little line? Yeah, it's there. It's just very faint. So, as a planetary nebula, this object is interesting because it shows us a really neat lack of detail right up front, but then when you zoom in, you can see more. You know, you actually see that it has detail. All right, so now let's. I'm gonna take back what I said. That's not a star. These are stars. Okay, that is a hot pixel, which we need to move, and I think we can do that. Let's see. Let's see, is the dark frame gonna do it? Let's do that. And it won't do it now because it's already on there. It doesn't know it's a dark pixel. We'd have to do it from the very beginning. Okay. So anyway, this guy here, the outer shell of the star expanded into a red giant, and then it started to contract when the core contracted, and it was going back and forth. It was going forward and backward, you know, pulsating. And that's called thermal pulse in the late life of a star like this. Like about the sun size, maybe a little larger, a little smaller. Right? So then what happens is it sloughs off those outer layers because the star is a red giant, and the outer layers are so far from that hot core, and the bulk of the gravitational field is made up of all that mass. So as it gets farther away, it can become free of the star and just float out, and that's what we see happening, right? And then we see it from a long distance like this. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna save this again and save it exactly as seen. And there you go. So this is, again, one of those nebulae that is very interesting because it's the death of a star that we're watching right there. Very cool. But a star like the sun. And that makes it even more fascinating because, you know, we're looking at our own future when we look at a star like that. Okay. So let's go back to our planetarium view. And see, we're just down below Orion here, see? And now we're going to come up to this guy. All right. Now we're entering more formally. We're entering the Orion Molecular Cloud Complex. And one thing I'm going to add here is I'm going to add some data. Sorry, wrong one. This one. DSO means Deep Space Object. We're going to add the Sharpless catalog and Barnard's catalog. Okay. The reason we're adding Sharpless is because actually we're going to do one more. Actually, we're going to do Lund's dark Lens-Bright Nebula and Lens-Dark Nebula. That's going to add a ton more, because we want 1622 up here in a little bit. Okay, so, and you'll see why. Yeah, all these things are objects. Now, Orion is a area where there's tons of molecular clouds. In other words, there's a dark lane in the galaxy of dark dust that's running right through here, and it's called the Orion Spur. At least that's the current naming. It may change, it may have changed. And we're kind of just a little further out from the spur, from the center of the galaxy. All right, so this is the closest to us, which is why the Orion stars are so bright. All right, and also why you can see the Orion Nebula easily with just your eyes. Okay, so we're going to go into the molecular cloud now. And we're going to take a look at this guy right here. And we're coming in now. Our spacecraft is on the move. Okay, and this is the object we're looking at. Sorry, that's the object we're looking at right there. Right there. Okay, let's get rid of that. And let's bring that up into the view. Okay. This object was perplexing us in astronomy for a long time because we did not know exactly what we were looking at. And as it turns out, we're looking at something that's quite different from what we thought it was. All right, and I'm going to show you that in just a sec. Let's drag it into the middle, drop it a tiny bit. Okay. Now, let's grab a guide star if we can. This is a region that's so dense with dust that stars are kind of hard to come by sometimes. Luckily, we got one. All right. So we have a nice peak there. That's good. And you notice it looks kind of fuzzy. Now, if you look right at this star, it doesn't look that fuzzy. But if you look over here at my pointer, you'll notice you can see more fuzz around here. And that's because the rods, the black and white receptors in your eye, are around the ring of the retina, so around the edge. So when you look away from the center and not use the color receptors that are clustered around the center of your eye, you can see much more with those other receptors. So when you look to the side, it looks way fuzzier than when you look directly at it. Isn't that cool? It's just how it works. Okay, so this is now going to be a 45-second photo. There's a reason we're doing 45 seconds. All right, and that's because we're going to go from low light into deep sky mode because we're trying to get these to look with as much detail as we can. We want to try and get as much detail as we can looking in the molecular cloud here too. All right. So let's see who else is here that I missed. Michael Hedrick's with us. Hey, Michael. Mundus Flint, how you doing? Or Mundus Finite, how you doing, man? Aurelio Maraca is here from Danbury Library. He's a cool guy. He's got a lot going on. Getting that Danbury Library in shape for the UFO conferences that he does, which I always speak at because I love to. He's a great guy. Okay, there's our first exposure. Does not look like much, but I want to zoom in on that and show you what we're looking at. You'll see a star, and you'll see a little bit of a blue nebula, not a teal one, but blue. There's a reason for that. This actually a this blue thing is actually a reflection nebula, and you'll see it's blue because the starlight in here, it's sending out light in all directions, and a lot of it's hitting the dust that's nearby, and that dust is very sensitive to the blue end of the spectrum, which means that when you're looking at this blue light, you're looking also at the dust out in space because it's the dust that's reflecting back just the blue light to your eyes. So let's get this dark shot here and you can see it. You'll notice that in here is a reddish nebula. There's a star in here that looks like it's buried in the red. It probably is. Okay. this is really neat. And if we fit the height here, you can see the full size on the frame. This is all dust in here. It's not this reddish muddy color because it's low in the sky. It's not low in the sky. It's pretty high in the sky right now. And if you look where the telescope is, you can see it's actually pointing up there. So we're actually looking at an interesting field, because as we zoom in again, now that we have 3 images here, it's going to be much cleaner to see. Okay, you'll notice something interesting. As we look at this, you'll see that this object has a really dark shape to it. It's much darker in here than it is out here. Now you ask yourself, why is that? And you're thinking, are we waiting for an answer? Well, the reason it looks like black out there is because it's one of those rare places in the universe where there's actually not any dust. For whatever reason, this is a little hole in the sky where the dust is, and we're seeing through it. Doesn't mean that there isn't dust beyond it. It just means that there's no dust at the point where the nebula is. All right, that's actually a hole, and we're seeing through it. There's another famous hole like that in the dust that we see, and that's in the Iris Nebula, which is much more obvious and much more pronounced. And we'll be seeing the iris at some point again. Oh yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's see now. What was the slow meteor over Ohio the other day? 7 tons. I didn't get the actual. I think they said a little, maybe more than that. But I saw a piece of it today. I was going to be on News Nation about it, but they ended up literally changing what they wanted to do for News Nation, so I didn't go on for it, but it's okay. They know who I am. Okay, so here we go. We have 5 taken here, 5 images at 45 seconds. Why did I do 45 seconds? Well, I did 45 seconds so that when I do this and over process, you'll see what's hiding out here. Okay, I know it doesn't look like it is right now, but like it does. But if you stare at this, you'll see these different tonalities in here. See, this is different from this. Okay, there's a little bit here. This is all dust streaks and collection of dust. And it's in the middle of all this, and that's something that is fascinating. We don't know. Now, that's more of a color-corrected view, so you can see where it's less dense, higher dense. Okay, so the brownish is the higher density, the darker is less density. You know? It's pretty cool. Absolutely cool. Yeah. So, if we bring this now in here, we can see this a little bit more of that, because we're over processing right now. We'll come up right to there, a little left. But you can start to see the clouds forming, showing up here. So we're in the middle of the Orion mess right now, the molecular cloud. Rascally Rabbit says, I am less dense. Okay. I don't know about that. You're about, well, I don't know. I'm gonna say this. You're about 10 to the 17th power more dense than this nebula, in reality. Maybe more. The nebula in a sugar cube size of space like this probably has maybe between 30 and 30,000 atoms, and in a sugar cube size of you, okay, there's 10 to the 28th or 10 to the 27th atoms in your sugar cube size space, even maybe more depending on the density of the tissue we're in. If you're in dense muscle, more. If you're in fat, less. I know, what a perspective, huh? We're going to go to 10 frames here. And Marianne Robb is with us. Here we are with Marianne Robb. Marianne Robb, you know who she is. She's 1/3 of what makes Sky Tour live stream a reality. She is a tireless person who works with us and works for all of us. I mean, meaning all of you. And she's the one on site. If something goes wrong, she just jumps in the Sky Tour Jeep and heads down to the observatories. The Jeep's actually hers, but she puts a Sky Tour plate on it. Yeah. And if all goes well, I have to get a new vehicle. So on, what's tomorrow, Friday? Oh yeah, tomorrow at 4, I'm going to be driving a new Jeep to test drive it, see if I want to buy it. I'm not going to do new, I always do used. But it'll be a Snazberry raspberry colored Jeep Gladiator. That's what I'm gonna test drive, and hope it is good enough. I certainly can't afford that on my pay, but with the financing, I should be able to do it. And I just need a new vehicle, and I'm not gonna pay $80,000 for a pickup truck. That is just not gonna happen. Not gonna do it. Bull crap. Yeah. Okay, see, now you see the dust showing up even more now? You can see it more when I zoom out. When I zoom out, you can actually see it. Look at that. You can see all the dust in here. See that? So this is a very, very dusty region. But it's not very it's not very dense. As I said, it may have between 30 and 30,000 atoms in a sugar cube size area of space. Air has 10 to the 19th atoms in a sugar cube. Okay, there we go. We're at 12, so I'm going to save this now. Oh, guess what I did? I didn't give it the right name. So I'm going to pause this. I'm going to try something. I'm going to rename this now. The name of the nebula. Let's get its actual designation. It is the 13th Pearl, 1999. Okay, that's what I thought it was. All right, just had to check. All right. This will be 13th Pearl, NGC 1999. And this is just a nebula region. All right, and let's see if yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so we're going to do this and say yes. So we're going to resume and save. Okay, we're still adding another frame. So at the 13th frame, for the 13th Pearl, we will hit save. Nice. Michael Hedrick's making a Snazberry joke. Okay, here we go. There we are. And then we'll save exactly a scene. Nice. Alright. Continuing our romp through the molecular clouds. Let's head up. I know we've seen the Orion Nebula millions of times. So I want to do something a little bit different. I want to do that. I want to do this. Okay. And that is, I want to take us up here. Let's go to the Horsehead Nebula. This is a famous dark nebula. And there could be some really interesting things going on in here, which we're going to see. Okay. All right. You can see if you look right at this, you can't tell, but if you look at this star, or right in between, you can see that there's some fuzziness here. Okay, that's because this is part, again, still in the molecular cloud. And let's do a 12-second shot to confirm that this is where I want to be. I think the horse head may be right here. Not sure. Let's take a look, shall we? Might be down here. Well, it's right here. Look at that. Okay, good. But this is actually a really neat object to see as well, because there's a lot of detail in this reflection nebula. Really, really something. Wow. Toro Low says, no gas or electric vehicles around radio telescopes. And you are right. As a matter of fact, we went to the VLA, the Very Large Array, and you are right. They do not, when it's active, you cannot bring cell phones either, by the way. Cell phones are off limits. They are so sensitive that your cell phone, as soon as you get on the property during active imaging, you have to turn off the cell phones. And in all likelihood, they have you put them in a lockbox until you leave. But they're very, very sensitive. So, and Sally Forth, I didn't say hit enter on a message. I said okay, Sally, thank you. When you said you were going to send another song along, I'm going to move this up, and I don't know if I can do it and leave that blue object in the view. I would like to. Let's actually just go to 1 second now. I know it's here now. It's right there. Alright, so we're going to do this. It'll be out of the view, because we're actually, a magnified system here. So it's right there. Now we get part of it. Maybe I can just get a little bit of it. Just enough of it. Because that's really fascinating to see what this looks like. And probably need to do a dedicated photo of it, but I want to do this. And we're going to go from 150 to 200 here. Alright, and that means our gain has increased, which means we're going to get a little more noise. But we're also going to do a 55-second image. Okay, and before we do that, we are going to grab a guide star. Yeah, and I think I see the one it's going to grab. That's the guy right there. Nice. Perfect star, perfect curve. Okay, so now this should go relatively uninterrupted. We're starting now, and we're going to go into live stack mode and get out of low light mode. Yeah. So tomorrow, Marianne Robb is going to San Francisco, because she and Dave Rich are going to do their UAP PD talk that they do, and I think that's pretty cool. Jeffro Adams, what's up, man? So nice to see you. Hope you subscribe to us. It's really cool if you do. All right. Tonight is a night of looking at molecular clouds and nebulae. It's just a lot of fun. Okay, here comes our first exposure of 55 seconds. Oh yeah, perfect. Look at that. We got this guy up here, we got this reflection nebula up there, and we got the horse head right here. Actually, really good. I'm going to already do this. I'm going to just drop this down and allow this to go full screen. Alright. Alright, so as you know, as this looks kind of muddy right now, but what's going to happen is this is going to get much more refined, and you're going to see more detail showing up in here. Alright, the more we do, the better it looks. You know, So look at that. And the color is actually pretty good right now. And the blue light is being, the blue light from the star right here is actually being scattered by the dust particles around this star. And the dust is very sensitive to the blue light. What it does is it absorbs it and kicks it out in all directions. And so it looks blue everywhere. And that's actually how our sky works. Same reason that's blue is the same reason the sky is blue. It's called Rayleigh scattering. Lord Rayleigh discovered this with particles and molecules in our atmosphere, and it actually applies to dust particles in deep space, which is cool. So let's see now. And then Marianne says, "Yuppers, if anyone's going to California UFO Con, it's this weekend, so please come by and say hi." Yeah, if any of you are in California and in San Francisco and are heading to that conference, please do go and say hi to Marianne. All right, we're gonna bring this in now to get a little contrast. Look at that. So now we can see details in the cloud here. You can see it's almost like it's spiraling in, you know. But that becomes even clearer, and we literally only have a couple images stacked here, 3. We can already see a star, and a star that's hard to see in the top of the horse head right here. Another one should show up here, and we'll see a couple more down here shortly. You'll see these strange, what look like rays coming out from red light. That's the hydrogen gas. This is the border of a wall, a 3-dimensional cloud of dust, and this is like a tongue of dust that sticks out, and this tongue of dust sticking out is in silhouette because of this red glowing hydrogen behind it. Okay, so the black part is up here and the red glowing hydrogen is over here, you know, behind it. And I'm blurry because I'm blurry-eyed. So this is pretty, and we'll call this the horse head. Its real name is Barnard 33, which E.E. Barnard was a famous astronomer who classified the dark nebulae in the universe that we could see from Earth in what's called Barnard's catalog. And we see this here as Barnard 33, or the Horsehead Nebula. Nebula just means cloud. So if we bring this up, our planetarium view, you'll see that the Horsehead looks like that right now. And yeah, that looks right. So yeah, that's cool. So that's pretty cool. Fantasy says, I come to the conference, but I have plans. But Fantasy was going to give you all kinds of cool stuff to do. And Marianne goes to Lundy Lake and other places in California. She crosses over into Newsom land once in a while. Yes, Karen, there's Barnard's star as well. Let's see where it is right now. It may or may not be up. We can always come back to this. I'm not going to take us there, but I'm going to just take us to Barnard's star. Yeah, Barnard's star is not up right now. It's definitely down in the ground. Okay? So we'll see that at another point in time. We actually imaged Barnard's star here, and when we imaged it, what we did was we noticed that Barnard's star had moved from the last time we looked at it. And that's the star, that is a star, in fact, that has very, very high, what's called proper motion, meaning that it's moving all over the sky, not all over, but in a path, in a straight line. And it's moving because it's in its orbit around the sun. And as it's moving around the sun, we're watching it actually move in the sky. This is one of those weird things where you can actually see a star move. It's not often you see the stars move, you know. But we did a parallax study, which is the distance to a nearby star study of Barnard's star when I worked in the observatory for a few years. And we studied many stars. We had all these different cards for the different stars we wanted to find. We'd center them in the view and take pictures of them so that their positions could be measured relative to the more distant stars in the view. And so I was working in a parallax program for 3.5 to 4 years. I'd be in the observatory, it'd be 12 below zero, or 10 below zero outside, and I had to be in the observatory, and it has to be the same temperature as the outside air. So we leave the shutter of the observatory open, let it cool down to ambient temperature, and that way the telescope doesn't get bothered by the difference in temperature, and we don't get turbulent air coming out of our slot in the dome. This is part of the reason why when you look here you see that the roof isn't even on the building. It rolls off toward the back there. So this is the roof that rolled off back here. Okay. All right. And here it's behind us over here. Okay. So this camera's looking from the western horizon to the eastern horizon, and this camera is looking from the northern wall to the western horizon, the end of the north wall. The south wall is right here. Okay, this is the south wall right there. This is the north wall. And that bright light is the infrared illuminator on the camera that's taking this picture. And the camera here is not using its infrared illuminator because that could interfere with the sensors on other telescopes in operation on the mountain, so we don't do that. I can show you what those look like without infrared at all, and you'll still see something, but it's actually kind of interesting. Here, watch. I'll turn that off. We're still absorbing lots of data yet here. So let's turn off, in the advanced settings, let's turn off the IR lights. Watch this. Okay. So this is more like what you see with your eye, except that bright light, that is actually a singular LED on the telescope, reflecting on the telescope. So obviously there's a very sensitive cameras here. All right, so now if we come over here, I like this view when we do this because this kind of shows a little bit of the isolation that we're looking at up there, you know. So if I take this and I look at this lower camera, okay, you can see our telescope and our neighboring astronomer's telescope, and there's 8 more observatories past his. Ding, 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 down the gravel or dirt road here. Okay, and then if we keep looking to the right here, those lights mean nothing to us, right? You can see his car because he's actually working on the telescope live, and for very rare that he's here. And then up there on the mountain, right there, is on the hill, I should say, next to us. Oops, sorry. Is another observatory, and that's got a 20-inch telescope in it that's being rehabbed. Also up there on the mountain is another gigantic 30 by 30 room where the whole roof comes off the 30 by 30 room, and the telescopes are all fixed and unmoving, and they're pointing at one particular spot in the sky. You know why? Because they're looking at the geostationary satellites up there. Okay, and so they're watching them, and if they are fixed and just watching the satellites, the stars will streak around them, but you'll see a dot where the geosynchronous satellite is located, which is kind of cool. All right, Now, let's turn back on my interior light here. And that's just the infrared illuminator. So here we go. Scotty, turn on the lights. Aye, sir. And there they are. All right. So now our Horsehead Nebula is looking really beautiful. You can start to see some detail in this beautiful reflection nebula here, this nice blue nebula. We're starting to see more detail show up here. You can start to see a lighter area here. A star has started to show here and here. And if we do a couple, I'm going to do one more thing here. I'm going to take us. Well, first of all, I'll do that. Move that over though. Okay. Now I'm going to start playing with some of the data here. I'm going to bring this in just a little bit. Okay, and I did that because I wanted to show you that there's detail now showing up in this dark mass that was just a dark cloud before. You'll see there's some red showing up here, some black. So it's sort of mixing. We're getting a mixture of the hydrogen gas in here. You can start to see the rays coming out here. They're moving outward a little bit. See them? Right? So our star here is really vibrant. You can see it. You can see the whole top of this nebula looks a little lighter than the rest of some of the rest of the parts of the nebula. And that's a real thing. That's an actual finding. It's really doing that. Okay, we have 14 images stacked here. And we'll go to 15, I guess. So let's redock and shrink it down to where it fits. Look at that. Ah, is this not beautiful? All right, let's try and give us a little better contrast. Look at that. And Michael has a question. Donald Kunzer, how you doing? Michael's question. If I ever wanted to get in contact with someone who knows time and GPS on an intimate level, are you saying you have connections? Probably. I would say that. Yes. So if you need to, I can help you with that. And Jeffro Adams, new contributor, says, we're lucky we're located on the edge of our spiral galaxy, which gives us a unique perspective. Actually, we're only about, we used to think we were 2/3 of the way out. We're actually closer to the center than we thought. So we're not 2/3 of the way out, but maybe just over halfway out. So we're a little bit closer than we thought. Okay, a little closer to the center. So we actually might actually be immersed in a dark cloud of dust. And that dark cloud of dust could be very likely from stars that are known as the Pleiades. They're in a dust you see them surrounded by all the time. And that dust extends light years. And they're 440 light years away. But that dust could still be something we're interacting with. For real. So, that means that the dust that the Pleiades are immersed in, and that's not because they were born there, they're just passing through it. The dust is going one way, and the Pleiades are going another. That dust is in a potential band that's many, many light years long, way longer than the 440 light year distance from here to the Pleiades. So we might actually be inside that, looking out at our universe. You know? So we may actually not see the universe with all its splendor. You know, Spock, we don't see the universe the way we should. And it's true. Probably not. Okay, now this star is showing up. You can see that star there, that star there. Okay, that star there. It's starting to look really pretty. It's starting to get really pretty. And if we do this to kind of push it a little, you can see that gray crown on the Horsehead Nebula. And what is that gray crown? That's not actually gray versus black. That's actually illuminated dust that isn't being illuminated as intensely, so it actually scatters the light. It's a soft glow from stars out here that are out here. You don't see them. Mostly a star called Sigma Orionis, which is down about here if we had the image. Karen asks if the Horsehead images have changed since the late 1960s. Well, that's not a very long time. And this object is light years in size. Okay? The Orion Nebula that we see is about 22 to 24 light years across. So to see, I mean, this guy here, it's gotta have some length to it that we can't explain, you know, or understand. And I'm just figuring that it's got to be. Oh, let me see. I'm gonna figure that out. Now we know the distance. I wrote a program to show it. And so what I'll do is, we know the size of it in the sky. So we should be able to figure out how many light years across it is. Okay, so my program says from here to here is about 3.5 light years. So over 3.5 light years, to see a change in just a few decades is actually not that realistic, unless it's fast-moving dust, and it's not. So it's not realistic to expect to see a lot of change. Whereas with the Crab Nebula that we looked at the other night, the supernova, that was a blast from the center moving outward at high speed. And over 100 years, we have an image like this. It goes think, 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 and we're actually watching it expand over 100 years. You know, this, on the other hand, much more passive motion, so we don't get to see it as much. Yeah, Michael says that's gorgeous. It is. And Bob says, off topic, it looks like it's windy tonight for Artemis 2 to roll back out on the launch pad. Okay, so are they not doing it until April 1st, until April Fool's Day? In fantasy, not necessarily true. Saying that we know they're not going to ever launch. No, the Artemis will launch. It's actually been a tried and true program, actually. Okay, 21 images. Look at that. And we're starting to see more detail. Now we see this beautiful little wisp here under the snout of the horse. Yeah, too many aliens on the moon. I know you're just kidding. You know, I did a Netflix show called Aliens and the Moon. Ugh. What was I thinking? The guy was a nice enough producer and director. Yeah, it was his show. And it was interesting, and they wanted me, you know, they said, well, you're like the best image analyst there is for this, and we'd like to have you look at this and be part of the show. I said, well, okay, but am I going to get a chance to say what things are? Because I do not believe that we faked the moon landings, and if this was going down that path, I was going to just say, no, I don't want any part of it. But he says, no, we're not doing that kind of stuff. He said, but we will let you say everything you have to say about the images. We're trying to see if there's artifacts on the moon that could be alien. Oh, okay, that's fair enough. Now, so the crew arrived here at 9 in the morning, and I didn't get the moon images to look at until 10 p.m. that night. All day long, they just kept trying different shots. I actually had science experiments I set up in my visual effects workshop just that way. I made lunar dust for a Discovery Channel show, and I used it. It had all the same properties as lunar dust, the static charge, all that stuff. and I used it to show them how lunar dust operates and how it could make some of the features that they were seeing on a large scale. And so I set it up, showed them that, and it definitively showed that what they were seeing was an illusion of light and shadow. Definitively. And they looked at me and said, yeah, that'll never make it into the production. I went, well, then why are you having me in the production? They said. And they said, well, because you're the guy. Well, the guy is telling you what this particular image is. And you're telling me that you're not going to allow that? Well, I mean, we may say that. And I said, well, my agreement was you guys would say that. So, the bottom line was, of all the photos he showed me, I could only find one single photo out of about 50 that had something of an anomaly on it, and that anomaly looked like it might have been a film processing error. It's just not what they wanted to hear. Yet to this day, he calls me once in a while and says, how's our favorite image analyst? It's like, just fine, thanks, man. So he's a good guy. I'm not going to disparage him, because it was nice. He did right by me in the end. So that was okay. Okay, what Karen talking about the hydrogen bomb rocket? What did I miss? Reminds me of the old Apollo 8 mission. Well, Apollo 8 was the circle the moon, but didn't land. I think it was a quick profit. Donald, yeah. Toner says, RS-25 is the Chevy small block of rocketry. Oh, is that one of those rocket engines? Who makes those? Because I remember, I actually, I did rocketry for a few years. Of course I did. I'm a freaking nerd. And I really thought it was fantastic. And I wished that I could track the rockets better, but we didn't have that availability, you know. So we had to always just chase them visually. I hated that. I wanted to have the GPS transmitters and all that before we actually had the GPS transmitters. Donald Kunzer says Mythbusters did a 1-hour episode busting all the myths surrounding the photos and film of the first moon landing. Oh, you have no idea how many, and that's cool. You have no idea how many myths I had to bust. I literally built an Apollo space helmet here in my workshop, and when I built that Apollo space helmet, the reason I did was to show one particular illusion that was created by Aldrin when he was flipping his visor up and down. He had moon dust on his hands, and as he was doing it, he was scratching the faceplate, because moon dust is little pieces of glass at its most small. And so, unfortunately, that moon dust made streaks on there, and there was one photo taken of him that people said, look, it's truss work of overhead lights. And I recreated it in my shop. I recreated it, and they could see how it happened. And so that kind of shut up a lot of people about it, because it was right there on film. You know, the other one was the shadows don't go right. You know, it looks like the shadows are going all different wrong ways. Well, I did that one too, and what I did was I created a lunar set, a moon set. Okay, creators the whole 9 yards, and gigantic moon set in my special effects shop next door. And then I went to Doug Trumbull's studio. I was working with Doug for 10 years, and I said, "Hey, Doug, can I borrow like a 1K light?" Yeah, go ahead. I took a light and some C-stands, came back here, set it up on the other end of my shop, low angle, like there. And then when the team came in, I said, "Okay, let's talk about the shadows." And they got the camera down low, and I made this moon set, and I had an astronaut, I had a lunar module in the back that a guy who worked for me, Matt Rumpf, made. and he set that up in the back. I had this taller astronaut in the foreground, smaller astronaut in the back, because it was a forced perspective set. So more detail in the foreground and less as it moved into the background. It looked like 10 miles of lunar surface. So anyway, we lit it from low, and as we lit it low, when you look down low with the camera, all the shadows going into the craters and reflecting off the astronaut, and the shadows coming off the astronaut were going the wrong way with one light. And it has to do with the topology and hills and dips in the lunar surface. And then at the same exact time, I said, okay, now without changing stopping the camera, pick it up in the air and put it up over the top of the set. Okay, well, they couldn't because it was a big set. I said, move it up high and angled down. So they moved it up high, angled down, and wouldn't you know it, all the shadows went from being all the wrong way to exactly all the right way. So that is what that was about. And so it just busted the whole myth wide open, to be honest. So I thought that was pretty cool. You know? And that was a good thing. That was a good thing. Okay, we're gonna save this here with 30. There we go. Save and save. All right. So dark nebulae and reflection nebulae and emission nebulae from hydrogen all in one view. That's kind of cool. All right, this photo available at skytourlive.org. It's probably actually up there right now. Only takes about 30 seconds to go via satellite. And, you know, for the most part, I'm trying to use free systems to get all this stuff up there. You know, which is kind of cool. All right, let's see now. What up, the horsehead captain? All right, so now let's go to this guy. This one is neat. This is called the Flame Nebula. And we're going to see if we can grab that. This is Alnatok, the leftmost star in the belt. Okay, and right next to it is the Flame Nebula. The flame is fascinating, and what we'll do is let's see. I mean, there's some in here. I just want to see how much. It doesn't fit entirely in here. We'll do a 20-second finder shot, make sure we have it all. Okay, I think we should. Okay, we're going to see just like the central portion of it is the idea. Alnatok is still out of the view. Oh, wait a minute. Why is it saying we're still here? Ah, did the wrong thing. No wonder. Okay, now we're going to the right place. My mistake. Start again. Okay, we're going to start again. So this next shot will come in and we'll get rid of it. And it looks like we'll need to focus too. Temperature went from 28 to 24, so our focus changes when the temperature drops. And let's see what we got. Okay, so I can see that we're here, so there it is. So I gotta move it up and over. That's good. Alright, so what I'll do is go back here, and we're gonna bring that up into the view. So we're gonna move over, gotta move it on over, and move it up. Yeah, we'll move it on up. Alright, let's do this. There we go. Move it over, over. Alright, let's do that. Move it over. Alright, and then move it up. Okay. One more. Okay, and then we're going to do a corrective action here. Is it this way or the other way? Not that way, the other way. Yep, that was the correct way. Alright, had to bring that focus back in. Good, there we are. Okay. Fantasy, thanks for coming in, man. I know you gotta go. Thank you for letting us know. Alright. Okay, so let's do this right now and see if we can... Let's see if we can grab an image of this object, and then we're gonna be close because we want to get some of the dark lanes in the flame. So it's again, we can't see the whole thing with this telescope. It's too big for the view, which is fantastic because then it gives us all this really cool data. We can see so much more data with this telescope. The wide field is beautiful. Okay, there it is. Yeah, we got it. We got the whole thing. All right. All right, let's do something here. There it is. There's the flame. No, we're not doing anything other than that right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 45 seconds. And I'm going to come down to here. Do recycle that. Grab a new star and off we go. That's going to be off the... That'll be too bright. So I'm going to take us down to 1 second. See how it's flat top? We want the peak to be within here. Otherwise, if it's outside, we can lose our correction. Alright, so here's 1 second photo. And there we go. So now we're good. So now we're going to come in here. And we're going to capture this again. So now what we'll do is we'll do a live stack here. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try something. Let's go see if this is up. And it is. Okay, this is the live view. There's Orion right there. Okay. And we're right to the left of the Alnitak right here, and we're just looking right here. Okay, so we're not even looking at anything over here. This is the all sky cam that I tap into. It's not mine. The one I put up is going to be really nice. So that'll be soon. So let's see the first flame nebula image. Let's first get rid of that. Oh, look at that. Yeah, this is beautiful. This blue, that might be a lens flare from just outside the field from Alnitak. Okay, let's get our curves lined up, and then let's try and see what it wants to do. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this down to about here, and I'm going to try to increase the contrast with our background. This is best placement I've done so far of the flame. This is really pretty. Wow. When you get Alnitak in the view, you actually get these blue thing. It's literally one of the bright belt stars. But this is going to be a really pretty nebula. Let's see if we can label it. Yes, we can. So we'll make that the target name now. And we're good. Look at that, the flame. All right, what is this? The Flame Nebula is a region that is a star factory. It's like a stellar nursery. And you can see areas of denser hydrogen look more red and more bright. Less dense, it's less bright. Okay, so when I was talking about quantity of atoms, perhaps, and these numbers are not going to be correct, out here we might have 3 to 5 atoms per sugar cube size, and over here we may have 28 to 35 atoms per sugar cube size. But because it's light years across, we're looking at something that glow adds up for a long distance away. That's really pretty. Now the flame nebula is just about half the diameter of the Orion Nebula. So this is about 12 light years from here to here. Okay, 12 light years across here. All right, and that is actually pretty cool. As a 12 light year object, we can see all these multi light year long dark tendrils here. We also have that blue infectious lens flare from Alnitak, and that's something else that we can't get rid of that really easily. But this dark nebula here is actually hiding some of the stars that are possibly powering this nebula. Okay, now it's possible that Alnitak itself is powering the nebula, but the bottom line is that that dark dust is definitely hiding other stars as well. Those are in there. Now the James Webb Telescope could see those. There's a hidden cluster of stars, however, that are hiding in here. Okay, that we can't yet really see. All right. So Alnitak is actually not the primary power source for this nebula, but it's tempting to think it is because it's right next to it. What's actually powering it is behind all this dark dust that you see right here. And thank you. That's good. We always love having a Starlink go through our field of view, ruin our image. But I want to get rid of that, but I can't. It won't let me unstack it. Well, that's just fantastic. How nice. Why can't I unstack? Oh, I know why. Okay. I understand why. Well, I'm going to do this. And I'll do that. Okay, that line will get very faint over time. Alright, so let's come in here. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Okay, 7 frames stacked. See, now I could unstack if I wanted to, but I can only unstack the last frame. I can't unstack the previous frame, unfortunately. But it'll fade out. Yeah, but the flame is just a beautiful, beautiful object. And by bringing this mid-level, we're gonna pick off more data. And by picking off more data, we'll see more delicate detail out here, which is what we're seeing now. Temperature is 23 Celsius, 23.6 Celsius out there in the building. So that's pretty good. Now, there is inside this dark nebula that you can't see is that massive star cluster that can be seen with infrared telescopes, like the James Webb. And that telescope shows us that the most massive star in that cluster is a star that's actually known as Iris 2. Is it Iris 2? Iris 2. I'm trying to get the actual name. I think it's... Yeah, okay. So, Iris 2.5, I believe, is the name of the star. I'm not I may be wrong on that. I should probably go look it up over here. But in the meantime, let's just enjoy this. Very nice. Really looks beautiful, doesn't it? If you have any questions, feel free to. Yeah, Donald Kunzer says, scratch on the negative. Yeah, it does look like that. You could make a negative of it too, so you can actually see what it looks like in a negative. You can actually see the detail better. This is something we use in astronomy quite a lot, actually. In fact, I got so used to looking at negatives of things that I forgot sometimes the sky's actually black. Oh, Daisy and Zoe, they said, our favorite nebula made our night. Thank you. Oh, cool. Well, thank you guys. I did not realize that. I'm glad it made your night. And we're almost up to 12 exposures. I had to go 45 seconds so we catch this delicate fringing around the outside of this nebula. But it's really, really something. And we are at 200 gain, so we are balancing that. Let's see now. Okay. So, I'm looking up some data here for you, because now I need to know. Okay, massive, yeah, that's right, the cluster inside, I know that. Okay, I was almost right. I said Iris. It's Iris 2b, which is the central primary star back there. IRS infrared survey. That's how they know it's there, and that's ground based. The James Webb could see in very, very much more detail what's really going on in the background in there, without a doubt. Now, here's the thing. The Flame Nebula and Orion are actually getting lower in the sky. So let's take a look at just how low. All right, so they're only about 35.5, 36 degrees up right now. So we're starting to get a little of the horizons, dust and stuff in it, and unfortunately we got to put up with that. The next object though we're going to go to is going to be LDN 1622, which is, I know you don't know, but it's up here, and that one right here, that's a really neat one because it's a dark nebula that is just incredible looking. It's also known as the Boogeyman Nebula. That's right, the Boogeyman. Boogeyman, yeah. All right. So we got 15 here. We'll save it. And we will save it just like this so you can actually get exactly this image. Okay, now let's go check out the other one, which is really neat. Part of this whole molecular cloud complex as well, and that's the Boogeyman. See, that's beautiful. Okay, so let's go back to our low light mode, like this. As you can see, you can barely see it in a telescope. In an eyepiece, you might see a hint of the brightest part of it, but you would not see the rest of it without the camera at all. Okay, so let's head back here now. And let's go a little bit to the northeast and head to the boogeyman right here. So up we go. There we are. And our guider is complaining because we don't have a star, which I know. And I'm just thinking that we're probably going to end up moving something down into the view. Maybe that. I'm going to tell you in a second. Let's do this. Let's do a 20-second photo. Get some more stars. Lazy Duke, what's up? Write an app that rewrites the data over the streaks causing... Oh yeah, bypassing satellites. Actually, that's a very smart idea, Lazy Duke. And this particular application here actually has one. Actually has that in it. So I have to try that, and I want to try it on my own first before we actually do it. You know, live. See how it works. See how well it works. Okay. All right. This looks. It moved it, and so let's do a 35-second photo. But we're gonna go to 250 now. Okay. And then go into low light mode. And now we're waiting for the magic to occur. By the way, Sunday I'm heading to Las Vegas for a Monday interview on a show by a guy named AJ Gentile, creator of the Y-Files and the whole Hecklefish, if you know that. And he has a very successful podcast now with 5.5 million listeners called The Basement, and they would like to have me come out, so I'm going to go out and do that talk on Monday with them. That should be fun. You know, I was on the Y-Files in the past. I don't see what I expect to see here. Not seeing what I expect to see. Let me just go back and let me check something here. Do this. Oh, got a plane going through. Okay. Yeah, we're getting some dark nebula in here, but not a lot. I think I'm gonna end up aborting this one because I would like to show you more than what's here. Alright, so we'll dump this one for now, and we'll come back as soon as we're able. I'm going to, not tonight though, I want to show you something that's not going to take as long, because things that take a long time are just no fun. Alright, now, I will say this though. There is, I like when we're up here in this region, I like taking an image of the Christmas tree cluster and the Cone Nebula. If you're familiar with the Christmas tree and the cone, it's right here. They're amazing. There's a lot going on in this nebula here. let's look at this. So we're gonna go here, and let's zoom in on that and see. All right, we are gonna be upside down, so that should give us what we need. Let's go there. Here we are. We got the stars. And let's grab this. Alright, that's the star we want. So what I'm going to do is see how far off we are. Okay. Literally 1/10 of a degree. That's good. There it is. That's the bright star. Okay. So there we go. That's the bright star. And we're going to look at this guy right here, along with this blue nebula. This is going to be kind of basically two things we're going to be looking at. So that's good. All right. So let's do that. Let's get our star, guide star. Okay. And do this. And then do that. Let's see if we're under the peak. We are. Good. Nice. Okay, this will be a beautiful guiding session. Let's go and do... let's go crazy. Let's go 65 seconds. I know. You know, one thing is, if you take a longer exposure, and then when the exposure comes up, it'll already have less noise in it, which is kind of cool, because it's in the middle of the exposure, it's averaging out more data. If you take a short exposure, it takes more of those exposures to get rid of the data noise. But when you're doing like a 65-second exposure, then, or like a 5-minute exposure, then each individual exposure looks better because it's in between the stars and the other data, it's averaging out the whole time. It's taking the image, okay? And that's kind of what we're doing here. So we're gonna go into our live stack now, go into our deep sky mode, and we'll see we'll see our blue reflection nebula in here, which is really from scattering by the dust particles in the nebula. And then we'll see the other nebula of dark dust mixed with hydrogen that's glowing red. Here comes number one. Oh, look at that. That is just beautiful. There's the blue, and there's the red, and this is coming down from the top. That's actually a beautiful placement. Now you notice how rough it looks? See how noisy that looks? It's noisy, okay? But that's again, we're at 250 for the gain, and that's pretty noisy. So the second exposure will literally be half the noise of this one, and then the third exposure and the fourth exposure, again, half the noise. So that's how that works. You know, roughly, you double the number of exposures, you have the amount of noise. All right, we're 15 seconds from exposure 2, and just watch how much nicer this looks with just 2 exposures stacked. Again, we're aligning and stacking on top of each other, right? So watch, ready? Here comes exposure 2. Look at that. You notice how all of a sudden the quality got literally twice as good effectively. So that's kind of cool. That's neat. Yep. Let's see what people are saying. Yeah, Bob is like a little. He's like our publicity guy. This is fantastic. He always tells you all the things you need to know. Good night, Karen. She's already gone, I'm sure, but thank you for coming. Yeah, this is a beautiful. This is called the Christmas tree cluster. And all these stars in here are hot and young, so they're exciting the hydrogen gas. In other words, kicking the electron off the hydrogen atom. So it's a charged proton with an electron flying around separately. And when that electron finally comes back into its original atom or a different one, it's like going down the stairs, like falling down the stairs. But each stair is a discrete level, right? You can't fall on a half a stair. You go down one stair, two stair, three stair, four stair. And in an atom, we call those levels N levels, like N is in November. And so electrons fall to different levels within the hydrogen atom. And this gives us different, what we call series of lines that we see in a hydrogen atom. And they're absorption lines that we see in a spectrum. All right. And so they look like dark lines in a spectrum. So we have a Lyman series, a Balmer series, etc. In a hydrogen atom. But the predominant color we get when ultraviolet light in a young hot star cluster like this strikes a hydrogen atom is the electron is bounced off, so the atom is ionized, so it's a lone proton for a period of time, and a lone electron up there. And the electron, look at this, this does this weird thing to me. Okay, probably because I'm doing this. Okay, and this lone electron finally bounces back into the atom, and it cascades down the flight of stairs. And it can stop at different levels, but most times it stops at stair number 2, the N equals 2 level. N is in November, like I said. And when it does, each time it drops down on the stair and stops there, it actually will give off energy in the form of light. So when an electron falls into the atom to the N equals 2 level, it gives off predominantly this red light we see. And that's what hydrogen emission looks like, right? And oxygen has 2 electrons that get bounced off the atom because of they absorb ultraviolet energy, and when they bounce back in, they tend to give off a teal blue light, a bluish green. All right. Now we're seeing just a blue light here from the reflecting back to your eyes of the blue component of the starlight, because young hot stars, they all have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet colors in the spectrum. Well, the blue light, indigo and violet light, is actually taken in by the dust particles. It's a very, very high frequency, small, wavelength light. And so that light is it kind of sort of resonates with the dust particles in space. So they take it in and kick it right back out in all directions. So wherever you look at this nebula from, that dust is glowing blue because the light's being reflected to your eye. Okay. So we're seeing some nice details showing up here. Start to see more details showing up here. We got 6 exposures captured right there. Not bad. Very pretty. Oh yes, very pretty. Oh yeah. I better move my butt off the screen here because I don't want to get in the way over here. Okay. So yeah. Very pretty. Oh yeah. Now this object here out in space, again, it's part of a very massive star forming region, and it's about considering the whole length of it, which we can't see here, it's about 30 light years across. Again, the Orion Nebula is about 24 to 25 light years across. This is bigger, okay, 30 light years, and it's actually a lot further too, I believe, it's 2,350 light years from us, so roughly double the distance to the Orion Nebula. So it's smaller in the sky, but it's bigger in reality because it's further away by twice. So it's really pretty. And there's a feature here. You can see this starting to take on a lobed appearance here. Okay, this lobed appearance, this is dust being eroded away by these hot young stars in all likelihood. And that dust is mixed with hydrogen gas. That's why it looks like it's glowing a little red as well. Hydrogen is the most prominent and populous element in the whole universe. Next is helium. And after that, believe it or not, is oxygen. And then after that is carbon. So it makes sense why we have a beautiful relationship with carbon and oxygen. Fred Phonebone, what's up, brother? He asks, is that red star toward the lower right really that red? You talking about this star right here, Fred? Let me know. I'd like to know for sure. Let's see here. Let me... Talking about this star right here? Let me know. Okay. Yep. Yes, it's really that red. Now, there's a couple reasons, though, Fred, why that can happen. Number one, stars that are red or tend to be on the red side, like the K stars and the M stars, and the O, B, A, F, G, K, M. We're a G. O stars are like Alnitak and hot young stars, maybe like these guys. These red stars tend to be, if they're just fusing hydrogen into helium, they're just sort of normal sized stars, but they're smaller than the sun, and so they're going to be more faint. This is probably what we call a red dwarf. It's a tiny red star relative to the sun. It might be just a little bigger than the planet Jupiter. However, the red can be made to look redder by being immersed in dust. Okay, and that creates a process called interstellar reddening, where a lot of the blue light that may have come from the star, or a fraction of it, is stolen by the dust, for the same reason we're seeing the blue here. Okay, the blue light from the stars is being captured by the dust and reflected in all directions. Okay, making any stars immersed in it, okay, that dust, have less blue light when it reaches your eye. So it means that it will automatically become a little more red, see? So that could be why that's looking redder right now. It could be immersed in the dust cloud. Okay. And that's actually a very common thing to happen. Is that we'll see stars that are look much more red because of that. They're immersed in it. Okay, I'll save this image with the annotations as well. Alright, now I'll also save this. Save it exactly as seen. By the way, I'm converting all the music you hear to cuts and instrumentals that we've created. So far in the main stream here, you don't hear any of that. When it first started up, you heard some songs off of our album Rising, it's called. So Rising is out there, and for anyone who's contributing on the Patreon, it's free for you to take. I will set up a link, and you can take and download the music straight from our site, or somehow we can get that available to you. And that's for all paying Patreon members. You may not remember, but the song we heard at the very beginning, that was I composed that sort of in the flavor of the James Bond movies. You always have that sultry woman singing, and she trails off her voice, you know. So I did the same kind of thing to try and kind of make it sound like that. And it kind of ended like the James Bond themes do, where they just sort of abruptly end. You know, the only thing missing was cutting to James Bond on a beach or whatever. But that's like I said, if you're paid members, that album is free for you. There's about 10 cuts on there, including some you may have heard before, but not many actually. Beyond the Lights is not on there. The one that we started the stream startup before. With that one's not on there. But if you want it, you can have it. It's a video with all of our stuff. This is looking really nice. All right, let's see what it wants to do for color correction. It's probably not going to do much, but this one might start to do the exactly. It's going to start to. It's going to show this object. Let's actually first bring this back in. It's going to show this a lot less detailed, only because we're doing what's called a push right now, and we're kind of stressing the data. If we want to see what's really out here, we can over process over here. Watch. So then, pow! Now you can see all the stuff that's out there. Look at this little thing coming down. This will eventually be visible to us. Okay, this will all be visible. Right now, we do it softer to keep the noise down, but I can pull this in a little bit more and get that going. That's cool. Really neat. Alright, so as I promised, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take that down, and we're going to fit the height in here, just like this. There we go. And I can move my ugly mug out of the way here a little bit. Now this is what I was talking about, that real fine little filament coming down here. That's really neat. See that? That's neat. We got other filaments in here too that show up after you've taken a whole bunch of photos that actually get rid of a lot of the noise. That's cool. So if you guys are interested in the music of Sky Tour live stream, which is not the stuff you're hearing now, this is just YouTube stuff, but the original compositions that I've written and composed and all that stuff, again, for Patreon members, it's all free. There'll be a link on the website, and if you want that, I'll send out a blast with the password to all the music, and you can get to it. So let me know if you're interested in that, and I will put it out there. I'll get it ready tomorrow, if not Saturday. Sunday I'm flying to Vegas. Monday I do the interview. Tuesday I'm home. I'm in Connecticut, so it's a quick trip back. And then April 9th through the 12th, I'm doing a keynote address at Ozark Mountain UFO Conference. And then that'll be a fun time. And then end of May, May 26th through June 5th or so, I will be at Contact in the Desert. I'm gonna be out in Arizona. I'm flying to Arizona and then driving from Arizona to Indian Wells, which is near Palm Springs in California, because we're bringing a bunch of stuff. Kathy, thank you. I'll make sure you get that password. And there'll be a link, like I said, on the website. And then I'll be doing 3 lectures there. And then June, in the middle of June, June 20th, I'll be in Bloomington, Illinois at a 1-day conference out there. So I'll be flying out on the 9th, doing my talk on the 10th, coming back on the 11th. I don't mind. It's all good. That's June. And then July, I don't know the date yet, but in July I'll be in Roswell, New Mexico, at the UFO Museum in Roswell, doing a talk. And that'll be nice too. And then August, too far out, I don't know. So I'll let you know. Notice how the imagery is getting better, and a lot of the details are starting to show up better when we have as many stacked as we do. We've now stacked 17. So all the random noise in the dim data is getting overlaid by actual data, and it's suppressing the noise. The noise is still there, but it's averaging out. Now, if I wanted to punish you guys, I would stay on this for the next 2 hours and take, 125, 150 images to get a much cleaner view. But I have a way of getting rid of the noise digitally later, so you're gonna get the raw images, but you can also, in the Patreon, you get the images as they're processed at the higher levels in the Patreon. Okay, let me color correct this. That's good. It looks great. So here's something you can see now. Now you notice how this looks more like clouds. Okay, you notice this is sort of reddish brown. This is sort of reddish brown. And you're seeing that we have a mix of hydrogen gas in here along with the brown dust. What is the brown dust and why is it brown? It's brown because it's both carbon and silicon molecules, primarily, with a bunch of other materials that are frozen in dust particles with it. And when I say frozen, we mean that there are ices of different types. We've got ammonia ices, we have methane ices, we have water ice, carbon dioxide ice. Okay, much like 3I Atlas, the comet showed us that it had water ice and carbon dioxide ice on it. Water is very common in the universe, so alien life would not come here to drain our oceans. Because quite frankly, carbon-based life needs fresh water, not salt water. So it'd be much simpler to just collect water in craters on the moon or out of the asteroid belt, or have a whole harvesting plant on Pluto's surface and grab the water ice that's in the giant towering snail-like things that people have been seeing. There's, like, you see the nitrogen ice plains, and then you have these large towers. That's water ice squeezing through. Okay, and that water ice is something that's as hard as granite, and with the appropriate materials you could harvest those gigantic mountains and basically start a Pluto water ice delivery system or business. Yeah, we get only the finest ices from Sputnik Planitia there, and whatever. Hey, it's only $4,000 a gallon. Look, that's a deal, okay? You gotta understand, we got a lot of equipment there on Pluto, huh? Okay, so hey, just go on, think about it, will you? Now, I admit it might taste a little funny because we don't know what other chemicals are in there, but it's all natural. It's all natural, so if you get a little sulfur, well, hey, that's part of the territory. Very cool. Hey, Cat, how are you? Look at that. We've got 21 stacked now. I will now save this here at this point. Save it exactly as seen. Okay. Here we go. So the raw image that's saved is right here. I'll show it to you. Okay, let's look in the directory here. This is the raw image that's saved. You can see that little circular thing? That's showing that this image we just saved moments ago is heading up to the server. These are already there. And this one, boom, just got there. See, within 30 seconds, okay, this image just got to our server right here. And that's it. That's the image. And you can go take this image for free. Go to skytourlive.org, like I've told you before, and just go down to the I Want Cool Pictures section, and they're yours for free. If you want the highly processed ones, or you want some Sky Tour swag like mugs and stuff like that, then why not go for it and join our Patreon. Okay. Jiminal? OGL ML and okay. You got me on that one. But thank you for dropping in and saying goodnight too. That's kind. Thank you. I know, I'm in the middle of the week here, so tomorrow's Friday. My flight on Sunday doesn't leave till 6 in the afternoon, 6:30. So, and I get into Vegas at 9:30, and that's a 6-hour flight. So the 3-hour difference thing. So, I don't need to not stream on Saturday night. Okay, there we go. 23 here. Stacked. I'll save this here. Let's redock. There we go. Very pretty. Now in the old days, we would have just taken an image that looks like this, a black and white image. And we wouldn't know what was red, what was blue. And until we had color, we didn't know what was red, what was blue. And we didn't know what to expect when we looked at these nebulae. So imagine a time where in the mystery of what these things were, we would look at these and say, wow, that's beautiful. What color must that be? That must be red. It's really blue. Or what is that? Is that a hole or is that actually dust? Well, these filaments look like dust. So we figured out dust. But the colors took some time. It took an analysis with spectrographs looking at the black and white images to determine that we're looking at color images. And so they would false color some of them, which is cool. I have a first edition of a book created in the 1800s called Architecture of the Heavens in a Series of Letters to a Lady. Because back then, astronomy wasn't an established acceptable science because it had only recently diverged from astrology, so it wasn't considered a real science. Obviously it is now. So when you were a scientist writing about astronomy, you just couldn't say that you're writing a expose on dark nebula or things like this. You would have to write them in a flowery language to a hypothetical quote-unquote lady, and tell her about all the mysteries as if you're talking to your love of your life on a blanket looking up at the stars. I mean, that's how it had to be. Isn't that crazy? Absolutely wild. And they never had access to this kind of stuff. Like there's so much going on in that image, you know, over processed now as it is. Yeah. So if we do this, I'm going to go to a negative now. So watch, for those watching on your TV, prepare. So there you see it. Now, we wouldn't see them with these colors, like the negative colors. We would see them in this black and white. And you can see a lot of detail in there. In fact, it's these negatives that would actually provide much of the detail of this region. Okay, like right there, you see this lobe here coming out. Okay, an erosion lobe from the hot cluster. All that stuff is so interesting, and every photo tells a different story. Okay, we're at 26. Let's try and do one more little contrast. Yeah, all right. Gary. He's leaving us. Okay, man. It's a late night. I get it. Holy cow, it's 12:48 here. How about that? I did start at 10:30, didn't I? Yeah, I think that the weekly streams in the middle of the week, they're going to end up being just a little shorter because I have to start so late. And as summer rolls around, sometimes we don't start till even later. So it's crazy. You know, if it's 9 o'clock out there, I don't start here till midnight, you know, in the summer. Because I'm in Connecticut and the telescopes are 2,600 miles away. That telescope is in Benson, Arizona. So I do have a lot of faith in the technology, don't I? I really do. You know, I worked long and hard to make this happen. I got my program here I wrote to do all the housekeeping in the building and take care of all the stuff that has to happen on a daily basis in there. And it's gone through rigorous tests here on the East Coast before I deployed it out west. I'll tell you a little story. The first time that I opened up the telescope out west, I was literally shaking because I was so concerned that something would fail, something wouldn't work, and I trusted my own beta testing of the software. I kept thinking, if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. If something can go wrong, it will. And the first time I opened, it worked great, and I shut down the telescope, closed the building, and I sat back and I went, wow, can't believe that I just opened the building 2,600 miles away and ran it like this and took photographs for the first time. I didn't stream that because I was too nervous to talk and do all the things. I'm doing 10 things at once as we do all this, you know, so it's crazy. Okay, this is the last exposure on this, and we'll save exactly a scene. Okay, there we go. That was wonderful. That was a beautiful image, and I'm glad you were able to share it with me. So now I think I have, even though it's almost 1 o'clock, I am going to do one more, and that means I'm going to bring us down here, and that is the star I want. So I want to show you this beautiful object right here. So let's go see. It's really quickly and right nearby. All right, and we're getting complained at by our guiding. All right. I think I gotta raise it a little higher. I'm gonna do this. Do this. And do this. Because I think what we want might be right here. Alright, and to do that, Donald Counter System Millennium Falcon. Alright, let's just do a very quick shot here. Let's do a 25-second shot. Actually, you know what? I don't have to do that. I can just, I've got enough stars to actually pick my position and make sure that I'm right where I need to be. I'm literally 0.07 degrees away from the object. So it's actually, it's going to be wherever those two stars are, it's going to move them up a little bit. So we are, I think, are good. Okay, so once again, let's gonna do a 45-second image here at 250 gain. Meanwhile, at the same time, I'm going to start this off, and we're going to go into our deep sky mode. Here we go, and check it out. Oh, now we know what I have to do. I should have done this. Usually the first image comes out okay. Yeah, that's the one I wanted. We're good. That's good. Alright. So our guiding is going to probably be okay for this first exposure. Yeah. Temperature's down to 21.8 in the building, Celsius. Okay. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay, so we're gonna move this back before the peak, and magically you'll start to see this thing appear. This is called the Cone Nebula, and the cone is just phenomenal region. It's a dark nebula being eroded by hot stars in the area. You can see the density of hydrogen gas here is emitting more light because it's being struck with some pretty significant stellar wind, and it's full of ultraviolet energy, which is causing the electron and the hydrogen atom to shoot off and then come back, and giving off that energy as that red light I told you about. Yeah. So as this goes forward, this cone will be even more visible. I'm going to change the name to Cone Nebula. Okay. There we go. Curtis Horn's with us. Hey, Curtis. Good to see you, man. And I'm going to actually fit the height in here so you can see the whole thing. So the Cone Nebula is in there. So why not, as before, take that down. Allow us to see the entire thing. And there's a lot hiding in here, as this will show you. See, there's all kinds of detail. Here's the cone coming down here. A lot of stuff hiding in there. Wowee. But this telescope is not a wide field system. In the other telescope, we see the Christmas tree cluster that you saw, and this all in one field of view. So that's a significant size. Curtis, we will talk soon. Are you going to be at Contact in the Desert, yes or no? Things going well for you? Yeah, May 28th to June 2nd or June 1st for contact. Okie dokie. All right, so let me bring this up and let's see if we can pull some more detail out by pulling that in. Yep, we can. So this is all diffuse hydrogen emission nebula along with dark dust. So as you're getting the picture now, dark dust and diffuse nebulae that are hydrogen gas glowing are very common in the universe, and that's what we're seeing here. Very common. Exceedingly common. It's an EQ6R Pro, that is correct. We have two of them. One is, we just converted our wide field system from a fork mounted LX600 Meade that's got a f1.8 focal ratio to using the EQ6R Pro as well. And we're using Green Swamp server to drive all that. It's very cool. Our wide field system uses Hyperstar from Starizona and Tucson. And for a long period of time, we were the only Meade telescope in the world with a Hyperstar. They just didn't have any sold. They were all a lot of Celestrons. Yeah, the EQ6R Pro, this white mount that you guys see here, is a very, very reliable, very robust mount that is made by the Skywatcher brand, and it's just incredibly easy. The only thing I did was to actually update my firmware, because in this particular telescope there was a point where it started running away in right ascension, so it would keep going and I couldn't stop it. But with my software I wrote for the building, I was able to kill the power to the mount and then restart it. And so what I ended up doing was downloading the programs to, you can all do it remotely too, upload the firmware for the motor controllers that run the motors on the east-west motion and up and down motion on the telescope. That's called right ascension and declination. And so by updating that, I haven't had a single problem since. So it's really cool. What have you got on your EQ6R Pro? We're waiting here for a little longer for this to come in. Guiding looks pretty good. We have 10 stacked. We will save that. Save it exactly as seen. I tell you, this is a lot of fun. You guys, this is great. Now I'm going to try and move this mid-level in to get a little more data out of this. It looks like we're getting some. I'm going to also ride up the curve here and get that closer for more contrast. And now we are. Look at that. That's pretty cool. Okay, it says it's like Ogie Mini. I thought it was those were L's, but as I got closer to the screen, I could see that it's OGI MINI. Well, actually, two I's at the end. All right. So the Cone Nebula then is interesting because it is like I said, a dark nebula, and the Cone Nebula is also basically it's a dark birthplace, breeding ground actually, for stars inside, and from here to about here is about 7 light years. Okay, 7 light years. All right. Now remember, Alpha Centauri is only 4 light years away. So if we were here, Alpha Centauri would be about here. Okay, and then a little out here, and then the rest would be the distance to make the rest of this. So the fastest possible speed we can go, we would go from here, right there, to here in about 11,000 years. And that's just one object in an entire universe of objects. Isn't that crazy? So we need a better way to do this. Yeah. And Minnie says it's very heavy. One of the disadvantages for me, even more with my old Orion 254/1200, I have to use 15 kilograms of weight to balance it. But very accurate indeed. Yeah, this telescope here, if I loosen all the clamps and I push any axis, it just goes ee, and it slows down to a stop, you know, over time. The telescope, the wide field system, on my TikTok page for Sky Tour live stream, you can actually watch me do that. I actually do that for the wide field system. I push it and it goes up over the top and then down into my hand, because I push the weights on one side and it just goes, spins around and comes to a gentle stop, perfectly balanced, and it's really good. Perfectly balanced. Just love it. So you'll notice that this cone points toward, well, you may not notice, you may not know. Let me show you over here. The cone here is pointing toward this hot cluster up here. Okay, we just photographed this before. So even though this is about 30 light years or more away from this region, okay, the stars here are so hot that they are still able to erode this region, okay, and push the dust away, okay, and also cause this to look like a cone. Now, it's a very complex region. There is one hill right here, goes up and then goes down. Then that has a little density there that can't be eroded too well, so it comes over the top and then continues down. So it's like a two-topped mountain. See the two bright objects? These bright areas are concentrations, higher density of hydrogen gas, propelled toward this thing, and then ionized. And so this is the lee side, and this is the part that's protected. So inside here in the dark, where life begins, life always begins in the dark, we have the potential for a star to be born with planets around it. And because we're looking at something that's about 7 light years long, all right, we're talking about a very, very massive part of space that we're actually watching develop with our eyes here. This is kind of cool. All right, so we can pull this in a little more. All right, and get the cone shape is very obvious now with this and this. And if I ask it to put it where it wants to go, it'll drop it way down, and it gives us only the amount of light we need in order to showcase this without a lot of noise. Then we have to come in and say, but I want more noise, or I can come over here and just over process it like this. Okay, and now it kind of shows you what's hiding in here. I don't like over processing. It doesn't really help. So then I'll take this and I'll move it closer. And as long as you don't come past this peak with your curve, okay, it doesn't steal data away. It appears like it does, but it doesn't. Okay, on the left side of the curve, you're losing much less of the very important light. And then this guy, okay, this yellow curve is sort of like the actual data below it is what we're actually taking. There we go. Look at that. So it's looking pretty cool. And we have 19. We're going to stop at 20 on this. So we'll redock and fit our height again. That's pretty. Well, there we go. All right, so being that it's after 1 a.m. here, I'm going to sign off. I got to be up early. But I wanted you to at least have some time tonight on the telescope. Give yourself some time to enjoy the night sky. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. And again, let me know if you want to get a link to our music. If you're a Patreon subscriber, it is free for you. So let me know. And it's Number One Nerd signing off here. Hope you guys enjoy your evening, and I will talk to you on the other side of all this. All right. So you have a good night. Okay. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye bye.
Stars so bright in the sky, on Arizona nights they fly. Nebulae in colors rare, galaxies beyond compare. Sky tour in the night so clear, brings the universe near. Real-time wonders to see, streaming live for you and me. Lift your eyes to the skies, universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the views. Every night feels brand new. In the dark, the night unfolds, stories of the cosmos told. Through the lens, a distant dream, living real like a gleam. Far away, up so high, across the stars beyond the skull. Through the lens, a distant dream, living real like a gleam. Lift your eye up so high, across the stars beyond the sky. Sky tour shows us the way, every night a new display. Lift your eyes to the skies, universe in all its light. Sky tours bringing the views. Every night feels brand new. Lift your eyes to the skies, universe in all its light. Sky tours, bring